Samantha Smith. And here's the news you didn't ask for. Hurricane Milton slammed into Siesta Key, Florida as a Category 3 nightmare. And guess what? At least 16 people didn't make it. But sure, everyone thought it was going to be a cute little tropical breeze, right? Wrong. This thing tore through Florida like a drunk axe at 2 a.m., smashing houses, flooding streets, and leaving over 2 million people without power. No electricity, no air conditioning, and no Wi-Fi. Basically, the apocalypse by Florida standards. But hey, Disney World is reopening, so you can still blow a couple $100 pretending your life isn't falling apart while the rest of the state tries to figure out where their roofs went. Milton didn't stop at just trashing Florida. Oh no, it had to make a grand exit over the Atlantic, still throwing hurricane force winds at the coastline just for fun. And because one disaster wasn't enough, the storm also spun off about 19 tornadoes across the state, which officials dropped in conversation like it was no big deal. And let's talk about the evacuations. Of course, everybody waited until the last second to hit the road, turning highways into parking lots. The biggest storm in the century. More like a storm in a century. Well, here's a story that'll make you want to punch a hole in the wall. So there's this guy, Jeff Rapkin. He's sitting there watching his life get screwed sideways by Hurricane Ian back in 2022. House is trashed, and the insurance adjuster, Jordan Lee, shows up and tells him, "Yep, buddy, looks like you're gonna have to rebuild this whole thing from scratch." And Rapkin thinks, okay, at least I've got insurance for this crap. Fast forward a bit, and what does the insurance company, Heritage Property and Casualty, do? They send this poor bastard $15,000. $15,000. Minus the deductible, mind you. Like, that's enough to patch a few windows and buy some plywood for the doghouse, let alone rebuild an entire home. But wait, it gets better. The adjuster? Yeah, he thought Rapkin was supposed to get over $231,000 for the damage. But, surprise! His report got materially altered, which is a fancy way of saying someone with it. Oh, and this wasn't some one-off. Lee says this happened with dozens of his reports. Dozens! It's like these insurance companies are running a side hustle and screwing people over after disasters. Well, folks, it's that glorious time again. The great toilet paper hoarding crisis has reared its ugly head, and Walmart has finally decided to say something about it. As if we didn't already know that a bunch of idiots would start stockpiling rolls like their lives depended on it. So, after the port strike wrapped up and the workers got a juicy 60% raise, we're left with the wreckage of Hurricane Helene trashing North Carolina and Hurricane Milton throwing a fit in Florida. But sure, let's all panic over paper towels because that's the real issue here. In a painfully bland statement that feels like it was written by a robot, Walmart's spokesperson droned on about the increased demand in some communities for bath tissue and paper towels. Yeah, you think? It's like telling us that the sky is blue. People are running around like the world is ending, grabbing all the TP they can find because, heaven forbid, they have to wipe their asses with a leaf or something. And the best part? Walmart's oh-so-wise advice: buy week to week rather than stocking up. Wow. Thanks for that groundbreaking tip. Russia's got their panties in a twist again, spouting off about nukes like it's still 1955 and anyone gives a shit. Sergei Putin's little yes man comes crawling out of whatever hole he lives in to basically say, hey, if the U.S. even thinks about testing nukes, we'll blow the world up. Like, seriously, does anyone believe these clowns anymore? They're desperate for someone to care about their rusty-ass weapons, hoping we're still scared of their mighty nukes while we're out here worrying about real problems. Putin's sitting there in his Kremlin crypt, stroking that red button like it's gonna solve his erectile dysfunction, just itching for any excuse to drop a nuke so he can stop getting clowned by the West. He's practically crying for Ukraine to step out of line so he can go, well, time to nuke it. Like, that's his big ace up his sleeve. It's like a toddler having a meltdown because no one's paying attention. Yeah, you're right, no one is. In the world of entertainment, the movie Joker, Folie à Deux, more like Joker the Duel, this disaster didn't just stumble at the box office. It face-planted, rolled over, and died. $40 million on opening weekend? That's embarrassing as hell, especially when your predecessor raked in $96.2 million like it was a walk in the park. Warner Brothers must be crying into their overpriced lattes, wondering how they let Todd Phillips turn their billion-dollar baby into a singing, dancing dumpster fire. Who thought making a musical sequel to one of the darkest comic book films ever was a good idea? Like, seriously, did someone at Warner Brothers lose a bet? Oh, look who's back. MrBeast, the self-proclaimed savior of YouTube, or as I like to call him, the king of clout chasers. With all that cash, you think he could buy a damn clue. But nope, here we are again, smack in the middle of another storm. So, what's his latest up? Well, there was his buddy Ava Tyson, the genius who thought sliding into a minor's direct messaging was a fantastic idea. Seriously, who the hell raised these idiots? I mean, it's like he's running a daycare for morons over there. And teaming up with Logan Paul? Well, now that's the cherry on the top of this dumpster fire, isn't it? I mean, when I think of wholesome content, the guy who filmed The Corpse is at the top of my list. And then there's that box of shit you call Lunchly that comes with a prime can of piss to drink. You call that shit healthy, dumbass? And then there's that Beast Games over on Amazon, a wholesome game show that treats all of their contestants like human beings. Huh? Yeah, right. It's gotten to the point where you now have to hire some firm to investigate the horrible conditions on that show. Nothing screams responsible CEO like waiting until the hits the fan before you get off your lazy ass to do something. Bravo! And now we go to science news. Yay! So apparently, a microscopic black hole might cruise through our solar system every decade because the universe just can't resist finding new ways to with us. These primordial black holes, which might have popped out right after the Big Bang, could explain dark matter because scientists are still too clueless to figure it out any other way. These black holes are so small you'd need a microscope and a PhD in pretending to care just to give a damn. They only form when something gets so dense it collapses under its own gravity. Kind of like your will to live after watching this show. In a world-first breakthrough, stem cells have potentially reversed type 1 diabetes in a groundbreaking clinical trial. A 26-year-old woman in China who had struggled with diabetes since the age of 14 has been able to completely ditch her insulin injections just 2 months after receiving a transplant of 1.5 million insulin-producing cells derived from her own stem cells. So, what process achieved this? Scientists reprogrammed her own stem cells into insulin-producing machines. No donor organs, no extreme surgeries. Just her own body rebooted. If these results hold up long-term, she might become the first person in history to be declared cured of type 1 diabetes. In technology news, Elon Musk strutted out Tesla's latest sci-fi fantasy this week, claiming his humanoid Optimus robots will be the biggest product ever of any kind. And unsurprisingly, the hype train has already off the rails. At a glitzy LA event, Musk's robo-buddies wobbled on stage to techno beats, played rock, paper, scissors, and served cocktails like some sad futuristic theme park attraction. Musk's big sell? These bots will now lawn, babysit your kids, and even be your friend for the bargain price of $20,000 to $30,000. Oh, and they'll totally change civilization. No biggie. Even if the tech somehow pans out, the robots will still have to dodge legal landmines, privacy concerns, and the fact that nobody asked for them in the first place. And what about those robo-taxis? Well, Musk seems to think these fully autonomous, unsupervised death traps will be deployed in California and Texas next year. Anybody ever drive in those states? Well, if you know, you know. Anyways, this cyber cab has gull-wing doors and will cost less than $30,000. You don't get pedals or a steering wheel. That'll be a monthly subscription fee. Sports. Lovely. And now there's 2 sports to cover. I hate this bullshit. But thank Lachos, I don't have to do it because we hired someone else. Our new guy, Bob. He's going to give you all the boring news about sports you didn't ask for.
Bob!
Bob? That's your cue. Tell us what happened in sports this week.
Bob!
Bob, we need you to do sports now. It's going to be a long f***ing day.
Scraggly hair sticking up like straw, bulgy eyes that blink but don't see much at all. He pulls on a jersey, hey, is that the Leafs? With wrinkly dolphin shorts that barely reach his knees. Bob don't care if the colors clash, as long as the games are playing, Bob's got a dash. Nothing else matters, he just needs the score. Bob, he says, then throws up on the floor. Touchdown! He just needs the score. Bob, he says, then throws up on the floor. Touchdown! Bob, on the couch or in the stands, with a foam finger in both hands. Girls and cheers all through the night. If it's sports, it's alright, even when his stomach's not tight.
Ugh, that's it. I'm done.